everyone, how is it going? It is your pal, Sal here. Welcome back to our Cher discography journey, and happy Wednesday, everybody. How's it going? I know last week when we tackled the album Backstage, things did not end up so pretty for my liking of that album. However, thankfully, it seems like the consensus from a lot of people is that Backstage isn't their favorite either, so that is what it is. But let's just say I put the vinyl on for Backstage once, and still nothing. I don't know. So I'm really happy today because we get to throw Backstage away, because today we are listening to Cher's 6th studio album, which is called 3614 Jackson Highway. The name of this album literally is the place where she recorded it, so there's that. It was released on June 20th of 1969 and charted at number 160 on the Billboard 200. So if we consider Cher at this time Backstage to be her worst album, this album is highly considered by every Cher fan who I've talked to, literally even when you read it on the Wikipedia page, her best album of the 1960s. This album is very specific because she left, before for the last few albums, she left Empirical Records and now is currently with this album at ATCO Records, which was also the same label that Sonny and Cher were on. However, this was her first and last release on ATCO Records. This album, again, did not do well at all. There were a total of 3 singles, which were For What It's Worth, I Walk on Gilded Splinters, and Lay Baby Lay, which were not successful. This album is just, again, from what I gather, it's probably her, again, like people say, her best work of the 60s, and specifically, this is her last album of the 1960s. We're done, after this album, we're done with the 60s, and I don't know if I couldn't say I couldn't be more thankful for that, but I heard the 70s is where things really start picking up, so that's where I kind of want to be with this album. I also want to specify one thing real quick before we get started, because I think it's really, really important that I talk about this. As you know, my main staple on this channel is that we always cover bonus tracks. And this album was released back in the early 2000s, or it seems, 2001, with a total of 12 tracks added to the album. And I struggled with the decision on if I was going to include these or not, and I'm going to give you the reason why I'm not going to right now. These 12 tracks were intended for another album that came after this, so in between Jackson Highway and I believe the next album will technically share is it Gypsy? I forget, whatever the next, we'll talk about that next week. But in between there, she recorded these 12 songs, well, it's actually technically 11, but these 11 songs for this album, and the album ended up getting scrapped. She didn't release it, and 5 of these songs were released as singles, but then the rest just were not heard until they re-released this album in 2001, on this special edition. And I really toyed with the idea. I was like, Sally, you can do it, but if I did, guys, this would have ended up being a 22-track album, and not to say I've not done that before, because Lord knows I put in my time with doing Kylie Minogue's X album. But considering all of these tracks were not intended for this album, they were not B-sides, they were not singles that were recorded during these sessions. Like, this album was done, cut and dry, and then they did these, and then so it's a whole separate project, and it wouldn't feel right to cover them in this video. So if you were looking forward to that, I apologize. But considering that this is, again, considered to be her best album of the 60s, I want to give it the best possible chance it has, because I'm still a little scared after Backstage, so you have to understand, I'm nervous here. But, like I said, I'm sorry that I won't be doing them, but it just feels right. Maybe at the end of our journey, we'll go back to basics and revisit these tracks. But for today, I think the best thing to do is just focus on 3614 Jackson Highway, which I'm excited to do. Again, everybody tells me it's the best of the 60s, so I think without further ado, we're going to get started with track number 1, For What It's Worth.
There's something happening here.
There's something happening
what
here.
What it is ain't exactly clear. Okay. There's a man with a gun over there telling me I've got to beware.
Oh, okay.
It's time we stop. Hey, what's that sound? Everybody look what's going down.
Whoa, wait a minute. I know that thing before, that Stop Children. What's that sound? I didn't know that was this song. Again, I forgot to mention this in the beginning. This album is also, again, a very huge cover album. I think there's not one original piece on here. But this is probably my first time hearing this song in full, so hang on. Springsteen.
Into your life it will creep. Hey, what's that sound? Everybody look what's going down. Hey, what's that sound? Everybody look what's going down. What's that sound? Everybody look what's going down.
It's really interesting to know that that song is called For... I never knew that the full song or what its title was. I should be frank, the way I was introduced to that saying was through many repeat watchings of a... This is gonna sound so weird. A bootleg of the Addams Family musical. There's a scene in that musical where the grandma just walks in and that's what she's singing. She's like, "Stop, children! What's that sound? Everybody move that!" And that's where I learned that from. I'm sure I must have heard it in some other form since then. But this song is originally by Buffalo Springfield. I'm not familiar with them. But this song is considered usually an anti-war song. However, it looks like. Wait, where was this again? Stephen Stills was inspired to write the song because of the Sunset Strip curfew riots in November 1966 as a series of early counterculture era clashes that took place between police and young people at the Sunset Strip in Hollywood, California. So that's interesting to think of this song. I didn't really realize that it was an anti-war song. Again, excuse my ignorance, but you have to remember I wasn't there. I like learning about it, but I wasn't there, so it's kind of like didn't know. But I'm happy to know. As for Cher's take, I've never heard the original of this in full, or at least from what I know, so I liked it. You definitely... Because also, the one thing I forgot to mention is that the cover of this album not only is the title where it was recorded, the photo is where it was recorded with all the band members. So I think Cher was really invested in this album. She clearly, the vibe in the studio must have been really good for her to put everybody on the cover of the album. And you definitely get comfortability with this song. Because even though, again, this is like one of those not necessarily, but if we go like with those anti-war ideal songs, like I said in the last album, the one where she did the one song, I forgot, the Masters of War, those words just didn't, even though I feel like she would think that, the words just didn't seem to be genuinely coming out of Cher's mouth to me. This feels right. This feels like it's from Cher in a weird way. Even though she didn't write it and this is still a cover, I did really, really like it. It was a good start to the album and I'm excited to see where we're headed from here. Track number 2, Just Enough to Keep Me Hanging On. Here we go.
It's true, honey, it seems.
She sounds, whoa. This is like, sounds like 70s Cher right here. Okay. Well, again, it's only 1969, so it's not that far of a stretch.
How to hold me, control me.
Whoa, it really does sound like 70s Cher.
Just enough to keep me hanging on.
Oh, the band sounds great. Oh, honey.
Just enough to keep me hanging on.
Hanging on.
My heart is like a yo-yo string, tied to you right or wrong.
Oh, it sounds so pretty.
Just enough to keep me hanging on. Oh, baby, just enough. Just enough to keep me hanging on. And dreaming all those silly dreams. Oh, honey, you got me.
Okay, this was actually a really interesting piece. The song itself I liked. I would not go out of the way and say it's my favorite. I think what was most specific to me is that I feel like this is the first Cher song, at least going back this far, where the backing vocals are very predominant. On the Wikipedia page was what I read here too. It literally shows the background vocalists. The names are Donna Jean. Oh my God. There's more. Jeannie Green, and this Donna Jean Godcho, are the background vocals. I like how predominantly they're featured too. It really feels almost more like a collaboration than like a solo piece. Lyrically, I was liking what Cher was saying. I like how she was like, I'm tied to you, right or wrong. My love keeps on growing because your love keeps right on showing. Still, my heart, wait, I didn't really figure that. My heart is like a yo-yo string. That's funny. It just goes back and forth, up and down. Again, I would argue, but this is also a sign of improvement. I would argue that maybe it's not the most, like, this doesn't sound like the healthiest relationship in my eyes and my ears. However, it's a clear improvement over, I feel like, the material we got with, I'm gonna probably talk so much shit about Backstage in this video, but I feel like it's a little bit of improvement over the material. Not my favorite song, but I appreciate where we are at, so I'm gonna put a like next to it. Track number 3 is a song I know because of the song, and I've also heard this version of it by Cher. This is Sittin' on the Dock of the Bay. Let's do it.
Sitting in the morning sun, I'll be sitting when the evening comes, watching the ships roll in, then I'll watch them roll away again.
Yeah, come on.
Sitting on the dock of the bay, watching the tide roll away. Georgia, headed for the Frisco Bay.
Oh, that's nice.
I have nothing to live for. Look like nothing gonna come my way.
Oh, she cracked a little there. I like
So
that.
I'm just sitting on the dock of the bay, watching the tide roll away.
Okay, that was Sitting on the Dock of the Bay. And like I said, I've heard Cher's version before. I like it. I think it's, out of the covers I knew, you know, from going in, especially from Backstage, this is probably a prime example of a good cover done right. I like Cher's version. I don't think it's that different from the original version. I should make a confession. I don't know if I've ever heard the original version. My all-time favorite version of this song is the Michael Bolton version. I know I don't really talk about men on here a whole lot, but if I was to ever tell you my favorite male singer, Michael Bolton, all the way. Love his version. Cher's version is really good. It fits really well on this album so far. One of the other things I think of when I hear this song, I don't know if anybody has ever seen this amazing Mad TV parody of the iconic, rest in peace, Whitney Houston, but it's called Whitney Screws Up the Classics, and it's Whitney, and she's like, tell Bobby I don't got time for that college, or what, I'm not messing with, and she's like, smoking on the dock of the bay, watching the gets, I highly recommend you check out that parody, it's so funny, but, iconic song. Cher's version is good. Not my favorite, but I still do like it. Track number 4, Tonight I'll Be Staying Here With You. Let's do this.
Throw my ticket out the window.
Throw a ticket out the window. Oh, I think I know where this song's headed.
Throw my suitcase out there too. Oh, 'cause tonight I'll be staying here with you.
Okay.
Is it really any wonder the love that a stranger might receive?
Oh, Rob, the band sounds great.
If there's a poor girl on the street, I said let her have my seat, 'cause tonight I'll be staying here with you. Tonight I'm staying here with you.
Staying here with you, baby.
Tonight I'm staying here with you.
Okay, that was Tonight I'm Staying Here With You, and I think I might argue that this is my favorite track so far. Really weird is that this is like kind of to me the first like section, you know, even though Cher is like, you know, known for her scantily clad outfits, I feel like when I think of Cher songs, I never think of like internally like sexual songs, you know what I mean? But this is the first one that I feel that kind of has a little bit of, especially more with the production, sexual undertones. So basically what I was gathering with this song is that Cher traveled, also, by the way, because this is most likely a cover, so who is the original recorder of this? Oh, it's a Bob... Whoa! Okay, this is the... Interesting that this is a Bob Dylan cover. I would have not pictured that. This song just has these weird sexual undertones for it. Basically what I gather is that Cher was traveling to, you know, an old friend, an old lover maybe, and she was gonna head home that night. She's got a ticket on the train, but she's like, you know what? No. I'm staying here tonight with you, baby. It's you and me all the way. One of the things that I really liked in the lyrics, I thought it was funny. She was like, if there's a poor girl on the street, let her have my ticket because she can go where she needs to go, but I'm staying right here with my man. You know, you could probably take the song a few other ways too, but this is interesting to me too that this is a Bob Dylan cover. I was not expecting that. But, would I argue it's my favorite of the Bob Dylan covers? I don't know, because like this does not feel like a Bob, and again, like I know any Bob Dylan songs except for the Cher ones, but interesting piece, but I really liked it. Track number 5, I Threw It All Away, which is our another obligatory Bob Dylan cover. Here we go.
I once held him.
Oh.
But I was cruel. I treated him like a fool. Don't you know I threw it all away?
Oh. Whoa. One sad mountain
In the palm of my hand.
I like
and
this.
Rivers that ran through every day. And I never knew what I had until I threw it. Love is all there is. It makes the world go round.
Oh, Cher, take it home.
No matter what you think about it, take a tip from one who's tried.
Take a tip.
So if you find someone.
Okay, this is another, I've heard a Cher song like this before. Not necessarily like the song, but I feel like it's a vibe. Where Cher, you have to remember, she's still in her 20s right now. Like, she's still 20-something, or maybe not even 20 yet with this. I feel like she's 20 yet. Oh, you get the drift. Very young, singing very well before her years. And this is just such a difference, like, to me in, like, modern pop music. And I was, like, looking at this today, too, is that all these pop artists that come out today, they feel like children. Like, they feel like they never age. They just look like children. And Cher here sounds like a whole ass and is singing like a whole ass grandma about this subject of being young, being in a relationship, knowing that she had a guy who was great, but she threw it all away. She was the one who effed it up, and she's like, don't do it. I feel like it's like my grandmother talking to me, even though my grandma's never talked to me about anything like this before. It's just kind of like, you're like, whoa, like Cher's so deep. This would have been actually a really pleasant song to hear. Again, I'm kind of shocked that this was a Bob Dylan cover, but I would love to hear this song today, especially because like she teased us, even though I highly doubt it'll ever happen. She was like, I'm thinking about doing a virtual concert. Trouble is, I have so many effing songs, I don't know what to do. This would be actually a very interesting piece for her to bring out, especially with her being 74 now. I think it would make a whole lot of difference to it, but I would like to hear that. I really did like this song. I think tonight I'll be staying here with you was still probably my favorite track so far, but I did really love this one. And again, I'm shocked that this was a Bob Dylan cover. I was not expecting that. Track number 6, I Walk on Gilded Splinters, and this was also the final track of side A. So here we go. This is also the second single.
Some people think they drive me, but I know they must be crazy. They can't see that misfortune, or else they're just too lazy. Walking pins and needles, and I see what they can do. Walk on gilded splinters with the king of the Zulus. Sing,
Oh.
in my chalice.
Oh my god. This is like... Okay, this was an interesting piece because at first I was like, this isn't really working on me. The song, so with what I pulled up on Wikipedia, this is originally a song by the, oh dear God, how do you even say their name? The Grease or, yeah, okay. And this song is described as a where did it go? I was right? Psychedelic rock, which, is not a genre I would argue is the best fit for Cher. They definitely, you know, switched it up for, I'm assuming probably for this one, for her cover on it. And at first I was like, it kind of reminded me of Masters of War, that I wasn't really feeling it in her voice. But then it grew on me. I think what really stood out to me though mostly was the production. It just became like this fire that kept like building and building and building. And Cher, I feel like she was not my favorite part about this song. Because I felt like she was kind of disappearing, getting a little more drowned out towards the end, which I feel like they could have bumped up her mic a little more and had her more up in front in the mix. But regardless, I did like it, just not my favorite. But I would be curious to actually hear the original version of this song. Also, before I go into the next song, I was wrong. The name of the album is The Grease. Again, however you say it, but the song is actually by Dr. John, so I feel like an idiot, and before you comment, you're like, it's not The Grease, it's Dr. John. Track number 7, the first song on side B, Lay Baby Lay, which was the third and final single.
Lay, baby, lay.
Lay baby lay.
Lay across my big brass bed.
My big brass bed.
Let me see you make me smile. Baby, stay with your woman a while.
Wow.
Hey, baby, stay across my big brass bed.
Little big brass bed. I like the little bongos you hear in the back.
Lay, baby, lay.
Lay, baby, lay. Okay, that was Lay Baby Lay, and the one thing, again, I did not realize before listening to this is another Bob Dylan cover. And again, this one is very interesting because much like Tonight I'll Be Staying Here With You, this is one of the first few songs I've heard by Cher that gives off this little bit of, well, maybe not as much, this little bit of sexual energy to it. She's like just telling him, lay baby lay down in my bed. Now it kind of comes across as a little more innocent, but you could take it, you know, any way that you want to take it. And I really did like Cher's vocal performance on this song. I love the lay baby lay. It almost kind of reminded me in the one Sonny and Cher album where Sonny's like, set me free, little girl, set me free, little girl. I love the take on the vocals. I absolutely love this song. I can't wait to listen to this one again. Track number 8, Please Don't Tell Me.
Morning,
Okay.
I should be in bed.
I should too.
I guess you better go now. Number, my baby must be fair.
Aww.
See you looking like you wanna kiss me now. Let's remember now, things are different now. We both know where we stand. Don't live here anymore.
Okay, that was Please Don't Tell Me, and one of the clear things is that this is one of, again, the earlier examples of a Cher song that's kind of a little bit of a story song, not as much as they would end up being, but I definitely a scene was put down in this song to me. What I was gathering is that Cher is living alone. It sounds like she has a baby, and the way I was taking it is that her old ex-lover is like at the door, it's early morning, and she's like, you have to go away, like, we're not doing this right now, I can't, like, I'm tired, I'm so done, like, please just stop. It doesn't sound angry, it just sounds tired, but her vocal performance is so astounding that it just makes the song come to life. And again, the production on this album is absolutely stellar. The band sounds sounds incredible. The lush production, Cher's great vocals. It's a match made in heaven with this song. Beautiful. Track number 9, Cry Like a Baby. Okay, this is probably my least favorite track of the album so far. I think the song is fine, Cher's vocals are good, the production is good. This song kind of reminded me of if you combined and modernized a bit, and it's funny to think that it was only a few years old at this point, but Needles and Pins and He Thinks I Still Care. It reminded me of like if you just combine those two lyrically, this is kind of what you get. So I kind of would have rather listened to those two songs personally. It's fine. It's a fine song, but I just think my least favorite of the album. Track number 10, Do Right Woman, Do Right Man. Interesting title. Oh.
Makes willpower weak and temptation strong. A woman's only if you wanna do right. All night's man. They say that it's a man's world.
Oh!
But you can't
Wow.
prove that by
Wow.
me.
And to think years later,
And
it's a man's
as long
world.
as we're together, do right. All night's man.
Okay, that was Do Right Woman, Do Right Man. And I really like that this song is from 1969 because it shows like early signs of, you know, feminism, but also still being like relationships are a thing, they're real, so I get that. Cher's like, listen, if you do right by me, I'll do right by you. If I do right by you, you'll do right by me. What a woman needs, a man needs. What a girl wants is what a girl needs. I liked this song. I loved the back and forth. It almost felt like the song was like a wave, and I was really riding along with Cher on this song. Great track. I can't wait to listen to it again. Track number 11, the final track on 3614 Jackson Highway, Save the Children.
I lie awake,
She lies awake.
just going off to school. I wonder why.
Oh, Cher.
I was such a fool to ever let it go this far. Save a little children. Don't make them suffer. Sleeping tonight.
Ah, the production. Okay, that is Save the Children, and what I liked about this song is that it was not like Save the Children of the World. This is a very personal struggle for Cher in this song. It's kind of like a sequel to You Better Sit Down, Kids. Like, Cher is a woman who has either one kid or two, her husband is gone, and she's like, please, Mr. Husband or Mr. Ex-Lover, please come back. These children cannot live without a father. I need you. Come back. Lyrically, I mean, listen, I don't like children. I've said this before many times, so the children are not my issue here. It's just kind of like, Cher, you don't need him. You don't need the kids. You don't need him. Just go off by yourself as far as I'm concerned. But, interesting song. A good closer to the album. It's got this very, like, powerful feel, like this is the height of everything. Kind of a fun song. Kind of cool to see it as a sequel to You Better Sit Down, Kids. I liked it, but obviously lyrically it's not something that I like connect to. Okay, guys, we just finished 300, wait, how do you even say this? 3,614, I always say 3614 Jackson Highway. You get the drift there. And you know what? Everything I was told is correct. Out of all of the 60s albums, which I have now gone all through all 6 of them, and plus 3 Sonny and Cher albums, this is objectively the best of those albums. Personally, I will still say that I do prefer my number one so far out of all these 60s albums is probably The Sunny Side of Cher. That's my favorite coming out of the 60s. Objectively, though, and critically, I can say that this is a better piece of work. What works about this album? Okay, first of all, the production. The production is the best out of any of the albums so far. I mean, I love the fact that it sounds like, even though there's only a small little, I mean, how many people are on this cover? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 if you count Cher. It sounds like there's a whole ass orchestra on this album, which is just kudos to that. The backing vocalists are great. Cher's voice. Okay, so at first I didn't really talk about this a whole lot. The first song, she sounds like 70s Cher full on. Through some of the other album tracks, she sounded a little more like late 60s Cher, which is fine, cool, we're in the middle of this anyway. But it wasn't like the drastic difference in hearing some songs in Backstage where she sounds like 70s Cher, but then like drops down to like early 60s Cher. Cher is giving her all in this vocal performance. You can hear that her voice is maturing. She's taking on, while I would maybe not argue that necessarily this album is filled with harder subjects, I feel like it's more mature lyrics per se, because like I wouldn't say that we haven't gotten material we haven't necessarily gotten before, but something about this album, unlike the other album which had a song called the Click Song, the songs in this album click together, they make sense, they all belong together in this piece of work. The only tracks that the only one I didn't really like was Cry Like a Baby and Save the Children, even though I appreciate it, but again, I just don't like children, so any song about them, I'm like, don't care. I think the best songs objectively are the Bob Dylan covers, all three of them. They're all really, really, really good. They kind of are back to back except for I Walk on Gilded Splinters, which is an interesting piece. For what it's worth is really good. I think that the material chosen here clicks. It clicks together, it works together, it feels like this is all supposed to be together. I see why many people enjoy this one and why they think it's the best, because objectively it is. However, the one thing I will say is that I do not feel like this album was robbed. With a lot of these songs being it's a covers album, I mean, I kind of see why none of the singles would chart. I feel like maybe objectively the album should have charted higher on the Billboard 200, but I just feel like, you know when everything clicks on here, but you also know when something pops, too. And nothing quite pops on this album as, like, you could say, Bang Bang, My Baby Shot Me Down, or All I Really Want to Do. Now, granted, maybe her goal wasn't exactly the singles here, but, I mean, who doesn't want a decent charting single, you know what I mean? But yeah, objectively, I'm very glad I listened to this album. I'm very sorry, but I feel like I made the right choice to not include the bonus tracks because there's so many, and it's meant for another album. We'll come back to these other tracks at one point. Maybe before I finish my journey. My journey is pretty locked. It's locked hardcore and key in here with how the schedule is, but we'll do it one day, at least for sure. So there's that. Maybe at the end of this, I think it'll be more fun to go through the end than go back to find this little missing piece. But I enjoyed 3614 Jackson Highway, my second favorite of the albums I've listened to. Again, I think objectively I just enjoy The Sunny Side of Cher a little more, but that's just me. What do you guys think? Let me know in the comments below. As always, do not forget to comment, like, share, and subscribe. Follow me on Instagram at Salvador J. Rocha, Twitter at Sal Says Stuff, TikTok at SalRocha1, and I will see you guys next Wednesday when the album that we actually do end up tackling is called, I want to make sure I get it right. So technically it's got two titles. It's known as Cher and Gypsies, Tramps, and Thieves. Just to get you guys out of the way, I am aware of the fact that they renamed it because of the success of the single. So for that album next week, just so you get it down packed, I know that it's originally called Cher, but we're going to call it Gypsies, Tramps, and Thieves. We already have one album called Cher, and then there's another one in the 80s that's coming down the line. So I think we can agree with giving this one the name Gypsies, Tramps, and Thieves. But anyways, I'll see you next week. I can't wait to listen to that album. Bye, guys. I'll see you soon.